Welcome to the Frontline Herbalism podcast with your host Nicole Rose from the Solidarity Apothecary. This is your place for all things plants and liberation. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. I hope you have had a listen to the previous episodes where I have been ranting and raving about the Herbalism, PTSD and traumatic stress course. So if you haven't checked them out, I recorded a kind of episode all about the sliding scale and how the solidarity places or like the free places work. I've also recorded a show all about the content, kind of in quite a lot of depth about how the course is structured, the sorts of materials you get, things like that. And a little bit about the bonuses. So unfortunately, you've missed the waiting list bonus in the sense of potentially winning one of these amazing kind of packages of herbal medicines. But the first day bonus is still there, and also the 10% discount code. So if you join the waiting list by Friday, like before the course starts, then on Friday I'll email out a 10% off code that you can use if you are paying full price. Like, it can save you a bunch of money. And for anyone who signs up on the first day, you are entered into a kind of lottery and someone will win a free place on my practical medicine making course in June, which is like a 3-day course all about how to make herbal medicine. Anyway, I won't talk about that now. I've only got limited time while my mum looks after Lee. And I wanted to share about what others have said about the course. I know testimonials can be kind of powerful to read. I also, I'm one of those people that over researches everything. So if I'm going to order anything online, I will always look at reviews and stuff. And like my partner's just like, oh, Nicole, just buy the thing. I thought I would share some of the reviews which are on the course page. And just kind of use them as an option, as a way to talk about the course a little bit more. So you can see these. So you can see all of these online. I thought I would start with an amazing human called Lena, who came on the practical medicine making course as well. She wrote, highly recommend learning from Nicole's teaching. Learning from Solidarity Apothecary, Nicole's teaching style is so accessible, and the curriculum she designs highlights the need for collective action against state violence and systemic issues, whilst cultivating practices of self-care. This isn't another capitalist self-care course centering individual wellness. This is proper embodied practice and real community care skills. Go check out Nicole's books and courses and support her work in prison abolition and medicine making for refugees, with a little rose. Oh, so thank you for that. And then another more recent one, Sophia wrote, before this course, I was dealing with a lot of shame about my activated symptoms and inability to function at a high level. I put a lot of responsibility on myself alone for how I was being affected by numerous systems of oppression within our society. I also felt as though I was drowning, out of control in my body and unable to rely on anyone for support in times of grief or stress. It's been beyond helpful and healing to hear Nicole break down the contributors to these states of stress in an honest and non-pathologizing way. I now feel like I understand myself and this world better. I feel so comforted that I can turn to herbs for gentle support at any time, and I feel like I have someone on my side. I have been making many different teas, and I'm learning how to make medicines gradually over time. Outside of emotional stuff, I'm a huge nerd and love geeking out and learning about all the different herbs and ways to make medicine. It's so cool. I'm so excited to share this knowledge with friends and loved ones, and would highly recommend this course to anyone seeking knowledge and gentle support. So obviously I'm sad that Sophia has said about how they're feeling. I'm just going to use they for everyone because I don't know people's pronouns, just FYI. This is one of the things that the course does, is like it can help give you this language and these tools to like name how you're feeling and understand the sort of state that you're in, like the kind of nervous system state. So T said, it's so clear how much thought has gone into this course. I knew it would be good, but it's exceeded my expectations. Nicole is not just incredibly knowledgeable, but has a passionate integrity, which is really clear in the course. I really appreciate how accessible it is as someone who fluctuates with energy, focus, and stability. I can pick up where I left off or continue to revisit parts if I have a long gap. There is no pressure or time-sensitive demand placed on me, which I really value and helps me to learn. Thank you so much, Nicole. I didn't realize reading these out was going to make me feel
like, like you have to really learn to take compliments, if that makes sense. Like it's an uncomfortable place. But yeah, I am committed to trying to, get as many people as possible really doing this course, because like I said, I really fucking believe in it. But yeah, I forgot that this would be a thing in this episode, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I mentioned before, like the course is like designed to be as stress-free as possible, so you can pick it up and put it down. You can spend a whole weekend like binging material, and then you can not look at it for 6 months, and then when something happens or you need more support, you can revisit it. Like I just want it to be nourishing for you. Okay, so Michelle wrote, I'd been studying herbalism for quite a while when I came across Nicole's course, Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress. I can say without a doubt that she delivers a ton of helpful content, and honestly can feel the energy she poured into creating this. I have learned a lot, and with the many resources she provides, I know this information will be helpful to the clients I work with and myself. I highly recommend the Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress course to anyone wanting to explore this topic. Thank you. And then someone else called Nicole, same name, Snap, says, this course is thorough. Not only does it contain a ton of plant profiles or nervines, I've also learned a ton about herbalism, PTSD, and the nervous system in general. All from an anti-capitalist, anti-colonialism perspective that acknowledges the trauma of both of these things and how we can heal from it. All right. So Peach wrote, I wanted to thank Nicole for this absolutely amazing course and space. I was first introduced to her work via a podcast with Propaganda by the Seed, and since have printed The Prisoner's Herbal, listened to her podcast, done the Glycerite course, and now the Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress course. Amazing. Also, please check out that podcast. It's awesome. What keeps me coming back is how much care and intention is put into each project she creates. I was looking for a space to deep dive into herbalism without the toxicity of institutions or traditional learning spaces. Nicole provided exactly what I was looking for. I have filled a whole notebook with information and resources that I continuously come back to. I appreciate the balance of her being extremely detailed with the content while also always trying her best to keep every course as accessible and approachable as possible. I would recommend this course or any other one to any of my friends looking to engage with plants and how we can work with them. Thank you. So Carla said, I've been slowly working my way through the Herbalism for Trauma and PTSD course online, and I'm so grateful for Nicole's approach and care of the topics, intersections, and the real world context in which she teaches. I signed up for this to support myself and my community, and also to learn alongside my practice in soul herbalism. I have found the course so far to be validating, inspiring, accessible, and grounded. I really appreciate how being able to read slides and listen to Nicole's explanations and how she shares examples while always giving wider context, further reading, and the disclaimer that there is no one answer to any of this work. Thank you so much for creating such a fierce and compassionate herbalism course. Thanks, Carla. That's so sweet. I hope this isn't boring to listen to, but I just want to just emphasize that people have got value from this course. They have been transformed by this course. And I just hope it can also support you. Someone called Llewellyn, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name wrong, has written, as a trauma-informed queer anarchist, one focus of my approach to botanical medicine is through trans healthcare and general mental health support for my communities. The Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress course feels like it was handcrafted just for folks like me. I think it was, to be honest. Anyway, the course's deep dive into the nature of trauma pulls from classic sources and new approaches, emphasizing how trauma affects the body and the impact of state violence in its many forms. The suggested resources beyond the core class are incredible. There is a thorough yet not overwhelming exploration of the nervous system that is both ideal for new folks to anatomy and physiology and a wonderful refresher for those of us who need one. Nicole has a beautiful, uncompromising, relationship-based approach to working with plants and people that I really resonate with. It is boundlessly refreshing to see radical vitalism expressed in such an accessible, anarchist way. There is an invitation to do deep work here that feels like an essential part of self-care/community care that will continue to have a massive impact on me moving forward. That's like one of my favorite reviews. Yeah, I think because like, yeah, I just wanted to try and achieve all those things, you know, of like something that brought in the science, but also brought in the politics, that also brought in this sort of like witchy relationship, animistic, you know, plants are alive, like we build relationships, we are plants element, you know, where there is this balance of like self-care and like attending to your own needs and not neglecting yourself, but also like always being focused outwards and, you know, caring for other people. And yeah, it's definitely like what I was trying to achieve. Okay, so Ellie has written, I know like loads of Ellies. There's like so many Ellies booked on to the practical medicine making course. There's like 4 people whose names begin with L, and I'm like so severely dyslexic. I was just like, oh God, like how is this gonna work? Anyway, so Ellie has written, this course was so helpful to me, both as someone studying herbalism and personally. Nicole has such a lovely, jargon-free way of explaining things. There are some concepts of both herbalism and the way our bodies work that I have never been able to get to grips with before that were made clear to me with this course. I really appreciate the way Nicole takes time to acknowledge different people's experiences, include trigger warnings and acknowledgements when speaking on herbs that don't come from her lineage, which can be really rare in the herbalism world. I really recommend this course to anyone working with patients in any holistic therapy role, as well as anyone looking for ways to support themselves with their own trauma. Thank you, Ellie. Okay, and then someone called Lex shared that this course has been really important and empowering for me. Learning about trauma and how to work with nervines had changed a lot in how I understand myself and the people around me on a daily basis. It's a journey that has already brought me so much. As a person with ADHD, this worked perfect for me, being able to choose my own moments to learn while knowing I can always send an email if something is unclear. I would recommend this course. And, you know, like I would kind of, I guess, identify as like neurotypical. I mean, I am dyslexic, but like I have tried to like design something that is accessible in terms of like neurodiversity. And, you know, my partner has ADHD, and like, yeah, for him, like being able to like go with the flow, right? Go with the focus, go with the interest. Like, oh, I'm really interested in this thing. I'll just dive really deep into that, versus like you have to do this by this rigid timetable and conform. And like that's why I've tried to create something that's like very spacious for people so that they can like skip around and like follow their kind of deeper interest. I am thinking of updating the course though with things on plants about them being different for people with different neurodiversity. I mean, I emphasize that all plants are different for everyone, like regardless. But yeah, I've been having some interesting like Instagram conversations about nervines and how some relaxants are stimulating for people with ADHD, for example. And I was talking about maybe doing like some sort of survey. So like if you are a herbalist and you're interested in that, like let me know and maybe we could collaborate, because I'm very fascinated with how plants work differently for everyone. Okay, Joanie, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, said there are courses you need to take, and this is one of those. As someone with PTSD and someone who looks to help people move through pain, I found this course invaluable. It has given me new ways to explore my herby friends. And Sophie wrote, the Herbalism and PTSD course has been a really eye-opening experience for me. Until I started this course, I didn't understand how most of the course I'd read centered such a Western perspective on trauma and how problematic this is. It has also been a vital resource for helping me understand the relationship between colonialism and psychiatry and how current healing modalities do not serve working class people and anti-capitalist struggles. The way she approaches the herbalist aspects of the course and her wider work is inspiring and respectful of plants themselves and the environments they are part of. Since starting this course, I have developed a deeper relationship with plants and my local habitat. I've begun making my own medicine and using them as ways of supporting my own health and well-being and my friends. I love that this course has an individual self-care aspect to it and offers this as a framework with which to approach herbalism. I have found other courses to be out of my price range, but the fact that Nicole offers this course at such a reduced rate is a gift. I would encourage anyone who is interested in herbalism and trauma to do this course. It's been an inspiring and informative introduction for me. Thank you, Nicole. Whenever anyone writes that they've like developed a deeper relationship with plants, like I literally just want to cry, because like that's all I want. Like I just want people to fall in love with herbs, you know? Okay, Malcolm who is an amazing human based in so-called Australia, and a lovely supporter. I get lots of nice supportive emails from him. Has written, I'm finding the course both fascinating and confronting. It's perfect. Thanks for putting together such an epic piece of herbal teaching. And then Larissa wrote, I'm only partway through this course, but so far it has been good. I appreciate how Nicole has pulled together the information on how trauma affects our bodies and the emphasis she places on how we can do something to help ourselves instead of merely being trapped in the disaster that's left behind. Her suggestions of how to connect with plants are inspiring. And I think maybe that is a difference with my course. It's like, it is very like DIY, like, learn this, get stuck in, put this into practice, experiment with yourself, like, find your own plants, your own crew kind of thing. And like, I think a lot of herbalism training can be like quite prescriptive of like, it's my way or the highway kind of thing, or, oh, you're not ready for that. You haven't studied this, and this before you can do that kind of thing. And like, I think I'm trying to create something like much more liberating, if that makes sense. Okay, so Isa said, I signed up for this course because I work with people who are unhoused, underhoused, or in vulnerable situations, and I couldn't find any information on how to approach care from a herbalist perspective. I have been following Nicole's works for years. She is my go-to for anything relating to plant medicine. Her years of experience and intersectional approach make her perspective very unique. The language is always very accessible, and I appreciate the ability to take her courses at my own pace. I would highly recommend this course for anyone interested in community care, intersectionality, and herbalism. I learned so much from every sentence. Nicole writes, oh my God, that is so sweet. Thank you. I'm just really aware that there is just literally fuckloads of testimonials on this page. I'm just not sure if I can actually read them all out. Maybe I will pick and choose, or yeah, you know what? For accessibility purposes, I'm going to keep reading them. But if you are like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, I've heard enough testimonials, I just want to emphasize now that the course is open this Saturday, the 22nd of March. Please join the email list. Like, you can find the link to it in the show notes. That means it's literally just an email list, the waiting list. So I'll be able to like contact you consistently while the course is open, remind you when it's closing, which lots of people appreciate because, life is really busy. Please check out the course page. You'll find these testimonials like written as text. I'm just gonna continue like reading through these because I think it is nice for people that can't read giant bits of text, if that makes sense. So the next one is from Emily. They wrote, the Herbalism and PTSD course has really broadened and deepened my knowledge of herbs and herbalism. I was only anticipating to learn about specific herbs that help with trauma, but Nicole goes far beyond just that, sharing tons of knowledge such as about how herbs interact with bodies differently through tissue states and much more. If, like me, you've dabbled in making tinctures for yourself, but want to go deeper in a thorough, comprehensive, but manageable way, this is a great course to do that. Thank you, Emily. And Andrea wrote, I enrolled in the course from Solidarity Apothecary and have been absolutely blown away by this course. As a herbalist who themselves has PTSD, that's complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I found the content to not only be invaluable as a clinician, but also has been incredibly medicinal personally as well. Nicole has put together the information in such a conscientious way with clear content warnings, and then so graciously and gently handles some of the most difficult subjects we face as humans with honesty, awareness, and compassion. I have deeply appreciated her consistent decentering and challenging of the traditional Western perspectives that have been so loud and persistent in the mental health and wellness field. Bravo. The content is well researched with meticulous attention paid to citing and crediting sources. I love the variety of perspectives offered from both their personal experiences and then the thoughts and voices of folks I've not yet had the privilege to know. I am also the biggest fan of sliding scale structures, and I've found this course to be one of the most accessible I have taken, from pricing, the graphics, right down to Nicole describing the memes and images used and offering places to break and catch one's breath. I am very grateful to have stumbled upon Solidarity Apothecary in this course. Keep up the great work, Nicole. It is so desperately needed in the world. Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you for joining the course. Okay, Alora has written, I am admittedly not all the way through it, but so far I love this course. It's very extensive and thorough and looks at trauma from a different perspective. I have taken a few trauma-informed classes, but most just focus on individual trauma. I like how this class touches on shared traumas or collective traumas. Looking at it from that lens is important and eye-opening to the trauma some of my clients might experience, and even trauma I didn't realize I shared. I am so happy I signed up, and I know I will be using this information for years to come. Thank you. Okay, so Lucy wrote, I signed up for the course because I had been let down so many times by mental health services in my area, and I wanted to take control of my quote unquote recovery. I'm really sorry to hear that. What's amazing about the course is that you can do it in your own time. I was able to put it down when I had a period of very bad mental health and pick it back up again when I was ready. The course has also helped me get a better understanding of political and societal structures feed into and interact with trauma. It's helped me feel more connected to the world around me and given me purpose as I have started engaging deeper with abolitionist movements. Fucking amazing. Herbalism is something I grew up with, but I had never explored the intricacies of it. Science was never my strong suit, but the course makes complex topics really easy to understand. My new plant knowledge has helped me feel closer to the land and the plants that grow around me. I have made a hawthorn tincture using directions from the course. Yay! And it really helps me when I'm feeling anxious. It is so empowering to be able to make medicine for myself and for it to work. I feel like I finally have control over my body and have the power to help myself rather than having to rely on others. I would absolutely recommend this course to anyone who wants to learn more about herbalism, who wants to learn more about how herbalism can support you if you've experienced trauma, but also for anyone who wants to understand how society in the so-called West wasn't built to benefit traumatized people. Okay, I think that might have just finished me off. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lucy. And I'm so grateful that this feeling of being able to help yourself is there, because I think that's what's so kind of dehumanizing and humiliating, right, about trauma and PTSD and stuff, is that you feel so powerless, you don't feel like you can change how you're feeling, and that you have to interact with a lot of quote unquote professionals who make you feel like shit, who make you feel small, who make you feel stupid, you can't cope with the world. It's just really, herbs have really helped me in that respect, and I just love that they can do that for other people. Right, I'm just going to take a little pause and then I will read the rest of them. All right, so Aquino said, I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name wrong. I survived trauma in 2005. I was 17 and grew up in a conservative region in Germany. I didn't have access to therapy. Around 10 years later, I had some years of therapy, but the person was not trauma-informed. I connected with some anti-psychiatry people, but I found it too short-sighted to just say abolish psychiatry, as it saved my life twice. I really liked your course because it helped me to get a progressive and validating perspective on trauma and quote-unquote post-traumatic stress that has helped me shift my view in helpful ways. Also, I love the vast amount of resources. I also like the practical connection with herbs and herbalism. Unfortunately, in Germany, all things herbalists have to be scanned thoroughly for right-wing esoteric connections. I was so glad to find a source of progressive ideas on plants and herbalism. I really like that you have put much effort into making stuff accessible, like having video, audio, transcript, etc. I also laughed about your readings of the contents of single herbs. It added some humor because you were also laughing about yourself. English is my second language, so I couldn't do it any better and don't know the quote-unquote correct pronunciation anyway. I also learned a lot about the prison industry, which is not something I knew a lot about before. So basically, I read the herbal constituents out, right? And they're just gobbledygook to my brain. And I have heard herbal teachers obviously talk about them. I've heard them in podcasts, but I still can't pronounce them for shit. So a lot of the first beginning of the profiles is just me laughing at myself and apologizing. That's the thing. Okay, so JK wrote, being part of the Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress course was incredibly empowering and inspiring for me. It helped give me confidence and motivation to make remedies for my own day-to-day and night challenges. I cannot recommend the course enough for those new or experienced, giving students a positive rooting in the political framing of stress and trauma. Thank you so much for making this course accessible for learning and also financially. Yay! All right. And then I have quite a nice long testimonial here from someone called Soul. So they wrote, first of all, thank you for this course. It profoundly inspired me. I had quite some knowledge of herbalism that I've acquired through other courses and mostly on the field while living in ZADs and rural squats. That's like a land occupation. I struggled a lot in the past to bring a political dimension into the world of herbal medicine, as everywhere around me, this practice seemed to be associated with white middle class people or new age tendencies, which I cannot stand. Through your course, I finally acquired some tools to better argue that herbalism is political and that plants can be political badass allies. Woohoo! For what concerned the part more specifically linked with trauma, PTSD, and its manifestations in the body, I have to say that I learned tons. I've never had courses about such topics, even though I am quite familiar with them through personal experience as I evolve in queer, anarchist, anti-psychiatrist places where trauma is very present. It still felt a bit of a superficial, like the tip of the iceberg. Perhaps I would have appreciated that more space given to childhood trauma and to more complex trauma dynamics, as these are so present around me. But overall, it was a great introduction on the subject. The second part, talking more in depth about herbalism, was also a very nice introduction. I love the DIY vibe as I think it gives power back to people. And so, yeah, if you wanted to make a tincture, you can just fill a jar with plants and cover it with alcohol. I love that most of the plants you mentioned grow wildly in Western Europe, where your lineages are from. This said, quite some plants don't grow wildly there, so it was a bit frustrating to learn in depth about plants when you don't have the privilege to grow them or buy them. I think I would have stuck to wild plants only. Maybe a bit more space could have been given to the appropriate doses for each plant in all its possible forms. Another tiny note is about the fact that the glycerin we buy is produced by a deadly industrial complex. This is something people should be aware of. However, it is possible to make your own glycerin. I would have loved a small explanation about this, or at least a link. Perhaps you mention it in your other course about glycerin medicine, but I have not taken it. Thanks for all the critiques. I adored this course and encourage everyone who's touched and or interested by these subjects to take it. I honestly was sad when the course ended and it inspired me to know even more. Thank you infinitely for having shared your knowledge and experience. It inspired me to do the same. Love and anarchism. Woohoo! So yeah, like that is something I explore in the Making Herbal Medicine with Glycerin course. I talk about how glycerin is produced in a kind of like industrial scale and a small scale and how people can make their own glycerin. Just side plug. I can actually hear my baby crying, so I'm going to go again and then come back and record more of these. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so sorry. I got completely sidetracked with the baby. Yeah, long story. Teething is a thing and it's painful and he just wants his mum, so that's fine. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to call it a day, sadly, on this episode. But you can find all of the testimonials on the course page. You can read what other people have, their experiences of their course, and hopefully that will encourage you and influence you to feel like maybe it's something that might be right for you and where you're at right now. Yeah, check out a link in the show notes. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, please join the waiting list if you can. So I've got your email so I can keep reminding you about the course until I close it again. And yeah, just thanks so much for giving me your time today. I'm really, really, really excited to start doing more episodes with like higher quality kind of herbal content, if that makes sense. We just visited a nursery this week. So yeah, I'm going to be getting more sort of consistent like opportunities to work come sort of September. So yeah, just kind of hold out till then and do my best. And I know people that are listening that have babies like completely understand. But yeah, I am still here. I'm trying really hard with the apothecary to keep it going. And yeah, thankfully this course is really hands off, so people can kind of just crack on with it without my kind of input, if that makes sense. And I'm still posting out care packages. Amazing volunteers are still sending the prisoners herbals books. I've got loads of plans for the future. So yeah, thank you so much for your future. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, please check out the course. Okay, take care. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. You can find the transcript, the links, all the resources from the show at solidarityapothecary.org/podcast.